What's your life like today? Have you troubled the way? Maybe learn another way. Hanging with Loretta. Now it's time for some fun. Some inspiration. Don't you stop until you won. Hanging with Loretta.
All right, everybody, welcome in to Loretta McNary Live. As always, I'm ecstatic today. I'm past excited. I'm ecstatic because I feel like somebody who speaks my language is on with me today. It sounds like his struggles have been my struggles, his goals are my goals, and he finally got a message that I finally got about, we'll talk about being next and what that means to Garret Davis. He's amazing. Producer, director. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to bring him on. We'll share more and you'll find more about him in Discovery, but he is truly, truly amazing. Welcome to Loretta McNary Live, Garret Davis.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Just let me know where to send the check to.
Yes, please. Or better yet, just write me into one of your stage plays. I have been following you for a long time.
Oh, wow.
It says Monica Renee. She's a super fan of yours, and as I am now. So I was watching one of your interviews, Garret, and you said something about, being next. And I can relate to that. I want you to share your story, but I can relate to it because people always said I was the next Oprah. And I would say, well, you're still branding her. And I love her. I would love an opportunity to meet her and talk to her, but I can't be the next Oprah. So tell us how you came up with, I'm not going to be the next Tyler Perry. I love your story when you talk about that.
Well, I mean, depending on what medium you're in, whether you're a football player, basketball player, radio announcer, if the industry thinks that you are good, they always say that's the next Michael Jordan, that's the next Kobe Bryant, that's the next. And my thing was, in terms of Tyler Perry, I started doing plays early, in the mid 90s, I think a little bit before Tyler. And when Tyler hit the scene, I had to make some adjustments. But, people would always say, Garret, you're going to be the next Tyler Perry. And I said, I don't want to be the next Tyler Perry. Nothing against Tyler, because to me, if you're the next, that means you're getting what's left. And I believe when God created you, regardless of who you are and regardless of what your passion is, he made you the first. And so I don't want to be the next Tyler Perry. I don't want to be the next Steve Harvey. I don't want to be the next whatever. I want to be the first Garret Davis. And that means I'm doing all that was destined for me. I'm not, picking up where someone left off, because if Tyler climbed to the mountaintop and I'm the next, where's left for me to go?
Yeah.
Other than down.
And I get the compliment, what people are trying to say and compare us. I get it, but it's not really fair to us. It's not fair to Tyler and Oprah or the next person, because we have all are gifted uniquely and our paths are going to be different. Mm-hmm. And I haven't read yet where God duplicated somebody's life. There's some similarities in the Bible, but there is not a duplicate story in the Bible. I've checked.
And so, Lord, the other thing is that if I take on that mindset that I want to be the next Tyler Perry, then what happens is I begin duplicating and imitating everything that Tyler is doing, so that I can get what he has, or so that I can get what he's cheap. And see, that is not right at all. So now I'm not even being me. I'm being Tyler. So in order for me to be the first Garret Davis, now I can be influenced by Tyler. I can understand and appreciate from a distance what he's done. But at the end of the day, no one can be Tyler. No one can be Loretta. They can be inspired by her.
Yes.
But, I've always told people, I'm a health advocate, and all of my productions and films are dealing with health advocacy and trying to close that disparities gap. And people will say all the time, aren't you afraid someone will do what you're doing and take it to another level? My thing is, I will give you everything that I'm doing. No one can do it like me. Now, that's not cocky. That's just someone can do it, but they're not going to do it the way I do it. And I'm not going to do it the way you do it. You have to have confidence in yourself. I just have so much confidence that, I will always bet on myself, because it's me and God. I call God Daddy. That's a whole nother story. But I always tell Daddy that, if you brought this to me, tell me what you want me to do with it. And so I'm not looking at what Tyler did with his. I'm not looking at what Ja'Carrius Johnson did with his. I'm just looking at what is before me, and I'm asking God, okay, why is this in my lap? What do you want me to do with it? Daddy is the only one I can go to with that.
Absolutely. I agree, because I tell people I can't call Oprah. She's not going to take my call. And certainly now when she's, multifaceted and multi-known, but that way I get to do it God's way, because he's the one who whispered this dream into my spirit. He's been my mentor this whole journey. He's told me what to do, how to do it, who to talk to, who to interview. And if I just follow his lead, then it always works out. It's never been a struggle when I followed his lead.
The biggest word you used in that sentence was if. Because I'm being honest with you, I haven't always followed Daddy's lead. I've always, for a long time, Loretta, I would say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. All right, God bless it. Versus, Dad, is this what you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
It took years for me to get to the point to ask for what I'm supposed to be doing versus blessing what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I could be doing the wrong thing, going down the wrong path, and I'm asking God to bless something. And he'll give us the desires of our heart. So, I said, why haven't I gotten to point A to point B? Well, I didn't want you to go that way, but you were so hard-headed. That's what you wanted to do. So I'm still learning to ask questions of Daddy versus asking him to bless this. I want this. I want this, because he might not want me to have that.
Yeah, and I'm a advocate. What God has for me is for Loretta, and what God has for anybody else, Oprah, Tyler, Steve Harvey, Tom Hanks, it's for them. Now, can we watch some of the things they do and learn some lessons? But I'll never be able to be Oprah. I don't want to be Oprah. I just want to be the best form of Loretta McNary that I can get. And get this, Garrett, we were talking about identity theft, and I was really perplexed by what people think identity theft is. For me, identity theft is when we try to dim our light so people are comfortable with us, and we become a lesser person who God created. So when you say, God, Jesus says, I'm gonna say, get away from me because I don't know you. Well, he's saying it because he didn't create that version of Garrett. He didn't create that version of Loretta. He's not going to recognize me. My blessings cannot chase me down if I'm a fraud, if I refuse to be who he created me to be in the same identity that he did it. I can't mess with a masterpiece. What do you think about that?
So people are listening to me and they're thinking, okay, he's got this together. So let me tell you how I got to this point. Because before I wanted to be the first, honestly, I did want to be the next. I'm just going to be honest with you. I did want to be the next. And Loretta, I'm telling you, every corner I turned, there was always a roadblock. I remember when I was doing plays, what I call for dollars, meaning you put a cast together, you put a payroll together, and you have to sell tickets to meet payroll. My first national tour, every time I came out with a tour, it seemed like Tyler was coming out of retirement to put on another play. My first national tour, the promoter lost close to $300,000 on that tour because of timing. When I came out, Tyler had another show out. So, here I am doing, Thursday through Sunday run. We may do, 3,000 or 4,000 people. Tyler's doing one night of 10,000. So This from a pure financial standpoint, it was tough. And I would ask God, why is this happening to me? The flesh would say, why you let it happen for him and not let it happen for me? And the flesh would say, when is my turn coming? And then I remember as clearly as day, that's not what I want you to do. That's not what I'm like, I know I was created to write plays. I know I was created. So now you tell me that's not what you want me to do? That's not the way I want you to do it. And so I remember going through this time of, financially like broke and trying to figure out what's next. And my grandmother died from Alzheimer's. And I wanted to do some soul searching, and I wanted to figure out, about what is it about that disease. And so in doing that, I decided to write a play against the way I used to write plays, meaning, okay, I used to write plays in the early years, Loretta. Okay, who am I going to put in this play to be a drawing card? And then I switched over to, I'm going to write this play to raise the awareness about this issue. And then from there, the door opened. And I got a sponsor that says, okay, what we're going to do is, instead of charging people for your play, let me know how much it costs to do your play, and we're going to take your play from city to city. So you're going to pay me before I leave home, and we're going to still do this play? Yeah. And so that was God's way of showing me, you can still do your play, son, but I want you to do it this way. And so now, as opposed to trying to figure out, okay, what's taking place in this city so that I can make sure I sell tickets, what am I up against? I can go into the city the same night as Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I don't care because my productions are free to the public. It's a totally different concept, and no one's losing money. And so when I got to the point where I listened to what Daddy was trying to tell me, you don't need to be the next, you need to be the first.
Oh, love it.
But I had to get to that point. So when you hear me say now I want to be the first, there was a time I wanted to be the next, but I was hard to do.
Yeah, I cannot lie, and I agree with you. I wanted to be the next Oprah. You know, imagine me starting out with no background in TV, and I started like you. I saw where you wanted to own your own radio station, so you worked for a radio station, and that's when you started doing plays to raise money for the radio station. Exactly. And then you said, well, when I wanted to be next, I'm upset because Tyler's, it's almost like David and Saul, right? Well, David he did 10,000, and Saul only did like 1,000. So you and Tyler were David and Saul, which that could be it. That could be a change of the guards, but it's a change of the guards, but in your own way, your unique way that God created it. And I like how you said you were pretty much financially strapped when you got this revelation about, this is how I want you to do it. So talk about when you got into radio and what you wanted to do and how that led to the play. And then I want to talk about this sponsorship and how you started putting real life on stage.
I started working in radio when I was a junior in high school. I've always been around music. My mother used to tell me that whenever I would cry, she would put a radio in the crib. That would stop me from crying. Music is in me. I left Warren County High School and went to Fayetteville State University to major in music. And after 2 years of music, I decided I don't want to be a teacher. I'm not going to be a good enough musician to make a living, so I need to find something else to do. But the day that I walked on Fayetteville State University's campus, I became a volunteer at their radio station. And I volunteered for 4 years, and I graduated on Sunday, and I started working for the radio station on Monday. At 22, I became the youngest African-American program director of a 100,000 watt NPR affiliate radio station. I've always been very ambitious, and I said, man, I want to own my own radio station. And so when the time came, an opportunity came that I went to Little Rayford, North Carolina to be the general manager, the program director, the sales manager, the on-air person, the janitor, everything is a radio station. That was my opportunity. And I wrote the play to raise money for the radio station. And when I wrote the play to raise money for the radio station, it's like, poof. I made that one night I probably made, in a year. And I started making deals with God. If I sell this next city, I'm going to quit my job. If I sell out this next city, I know I'm going to quit my job. If I sell out my hometown, I know I'm going to quit my job. And then I quit my job. And for 5 years, all I did was that one play called Lord, Why Me? No one told me I had to write another play. No one told, I was young. I was under 30. I was, at one point I had a house, a tour bus, a Mercedes, a BMW, all in my front yard from doing a play with no set, putting furniture on the back of a pickup truck, and the cast follow me from city to city, and we're putting our furniture in front of the curtain, and I'm performing. I'm doing sets like that with no set performance like that, selling out Township Auditorium on the same weekend that they got Ray Charles before me and somebody else after me and my play. And then here comes Tyler with these illustrious sets and these celebrities, and it's like, uh-oh. Like, uh-oh. I could go to the same place 4 or 5 times a year with the same play. And on the East Coast, back in the early 90s, the only play touring the East Coast was my play, Lord, Why Me? And the late David Payton's play, A Good Man Is Hard to Find. Every now and then, Michael Matthews would come to the East Coast. But when Tyler hit, it seemed like you'd have a church in every corner. Everybody and their mama started having plays. And so now, but I truly believe this. I don't care how good you are or how bad you are, everybody has a following. And so wherever I fell into that concept of between Tyler and David Payton and all these other productions, Garret Davis had a following. And so I couldn't go to the same city 5 times a year, but I could go 2 times a year with a different play. So it made me write even more plays so I could go back to those same cities. And so I was working at the radio station doing plays at the same time, and folks would call me the play guy. That's the guy that does all the plays. And so because I was working in radio, I would have contact with record promoters. I would be like, look, man, I mean, I need you to play this new Freddie Jackson. Well, you can, but I need Freddie to be in one of my plays. And before you know it, that's how I was able to get these entertainers in my plays. And I was working with a radio station, and they told me on several occasions, okay, either you're going to run these radio stations or you're going to do plays. Which one are you going to do? I said, I can do both. They kept telling me, I said, if you don't stop doing these plays, we're going to fire you. I said, well, what I need to do is cut a deal with the radio station. I tell you what, I'll pay for advertising, and I'll split my door with you. And that bought me a little extension. And before you know it, they said, gee, you can't do this more, and you're fired. You're firing me? Yeah, you're fired, because we need someone to be a program director at the radio station, not someone who's doing plays. That was the best thing that happened to me, because that forced me now that I had to depend on, was my gift truly enough to make it, and that's a whole story. But,
okay, so let's slow it down a little, because you've said a lot, and I promise you I can relate to it. I'm sure we have a really good audience. You're getting hearts and thumbs up for your story. So I want to kind of just dial it back a little.
Sure.
So you decide instead of playing Freddie Jackson's music, you needed Freddie Jackson in your play.
No,
so here you are.
I didn't say I wouldn't play his music. I would always say, because I wasn't the guy to take payola. I wasn't the type of program director, but I always look, guys. I just, I'm trying to do plays. Is there anything we can work out? If Freddie can be in this play, he can sell his CDs at my show. That's another way. Because at the end of the day, during that time, it was all about exposure. So from Freddie Jackson to Glenn Jones to, all these, from the Manhattan, Gerald Austin from the Manhattans, who, was a good friend of mine anyway. But because of my radio connect, and I was considered a clean guy, and always, people had a reputation of doing what I could, for entertainers, that's how I got entertainers in my plays. Yeah. But then that was good, you may think, and listen to me, but on the other side, since that's what God wanted me to do, I could never make quite enough money to do what I was supposed to do, because it wasn't supposed to work like that. So it didn't. Whether I had Freddie Jackson, Glenn Jones, Sister Cantaloupe, no matter what big entertainer I had in my show, it would never quite always work out.
So let me ask you this. So did the Lord tell you not to do it that way, but you did it that way because you saw other people doing it that way? When did his message to you that created your whole new, it's a niche. Nobody else is doing like you're doing currently, and you're being successful. So I'm just trying to take people along on the journey chronologically. So did he tell you that?
Loretta, I was hard-headed. He could have been telling me not to do it that way, but I was determined to do it that way because that's the way it was being done in the industry.
Right.
It wasn't about when a play, if you think about it, when plays came to town, the first thing you would say, well, who's in it? You wouldn't say what's the name of it or what's it about. Who's in it? Who's in it? Jennifer Holiday, okay, I got to go see that. So I'm thinking I need that to make my plays work. And God was saying, all right, use everything you got. I mean, that's what you want. Just keep doing it. And I got
my goodness.
I didn't have jack, because no matter who I put in it or what I did, it never worked out. The material was good. I remember when I auditioned for Arthur Primus as Tyler Perry's money guy. I remember Arthur Primus calling me when Tyler's first stint trying to go into television. When Tyler wasn't going to be touring, Arthur was looking for some other plays to fulfill Tyler's tour schedule that he wouldn't be doing now because he was on he was going to television. And I remember it was Michael Baisden, Men Cry in the Dark. It was my play selected. And so when Tyler came back on out, that meant I had to go home. And so, but that lesson taught me that I had something good enough, but why wasn't it working? And so I was too hard-headed to get the message until I didn't have anything. I had nothing else to do. And I started, going back to the Alzheimer situation. I was going around with AARP of my mentor, Deborah Tyler Horton. And we were doing these lunch and learns on caregiving. And I said, Deborah, I got a play called Forget Me Not. I said, Alzheimer's Association will not support it. I just need some dollars. She said, Garrett, we can't support it because it's disease specific. And so when she said that, I said, well, what if I wrote a play that wasn't disease specific? Because I was doing these workshops on prepare to care, which was how to care for your loved one. And so I thought of an idea to write a story about 5 sisters from 5 different cities trying to figure out how to take care of the aging mother, all based around AARP's Prepare to Care booklet, when I did that concept and pitched to ARP, they said, we'll do some test market. Let's try this out. And the rest is history. Mama's Girls, and the rest is history. And I said, so it was only until out of desperation trying to find dollars that I'm putting this together, and it hit me. God's been trying to get me to do this all the time. How much money did I lose and waste trying to do it my way when he was trying to get me to do this all the time and I couldn't see it?
Wow, your story, and he hasn't even told the half of it yet. We'll get into a lot more of that, but go to Gdavis Productions.net and you can see a whole lot of his work. He has been, like I said, since 1994, and of course now people are saying, I never heard of him. He's an overnight success, right? Once they see the quality of your work, who your sponsors are, and then you get this deal with AARP. So tell us about that. And then you went from stage plays to film, and then you go to TV. So I'm like backtracking with you. I've been TV all this time. I've been wanting to do a stage play, hint, a record, a walk on the road, Gary, just a walk on. I just want to prance across the stage. And then now you're doing film, which is also one of my dreams too. So kind of let's talk about how you went from your stage plays with all these amazing sponsors. And because your work was, let's just start here. Your work was quality. It was equal. You say you didn't have the money that Tyler had and your sets didn't look like Tyler's. Well, when Tyler first started out, his sets weren't that grand either. But the talent and the singing was phenomenal. So I can imagine that yours were too because of the star's power that you have. So how did you go from, you said being broke and disgusted kind of thing, to having sponsors and doing these stage plays and then doing film?
My relationship, Deborah Tyler Horton, I give her so much credit. She's more than a mentor. She's one of my best friends. She is over ARP Georgia in Atlanta, over the entire state of Georgia for ARP. And when we did Prepare to Care, but again, going back to watching my aunts take care of my mother, because when my grandmother died and my grandmother got Alzheimer's disease, I didn't want to go back and see her. I didn't want to see her in that state. And doing Forget Me Not, the play, was therapy for me. And once I began to see all the advances and how it could help someone from getting something free, like a Prepare to Care book, to help, I'm like, why don't we know about this? Why don't we know about all these the things that are available to us through AARP? And so when I did Mama's Girls, that was a 7-year run with AARP with Mama's Girls. And then the American Diabetes Association called me and said, I see the work that you're doing with AARP. Do you have a play on diabetes? I said, no, but I can get you one. And so as opposed to writing you a play on diabetes, since Mama's Girls is becoming a hit, let's come out with Mama's Girls Part 2. And since in the African-American community, diabetes is referred to as sugar, let's call it Sugar Ain't Sweet. And the American Diabetes Association loved it. And we came out with Mama's Girls Part 2. And so for the next 3 years, the American Diabetes Association and I began touring the country with Mama's Girls. And to remind you, every play that I do is free to the public. And so the average person looking at it is trying to figure out, how is he doing all that for free? You know what I'm saying? So we created our own blue water. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But in terms of then when Us Against Alzheimer's called and said, don't you have a play on Alzheimer's? I said, yeah. So the model with ARP put me out there on a national scale, and then companies versus me calling promoters saying, will you please pick up my play? Now I've got corporations calling me saying, what do you have on diabetes? What do you have on such and such? And of course, I never had anything, but I said, I can tailor it and create it just for you. And so that's what we did. So we went from Mama's Girls to Mama's Girls 2 to Forget Me Not. And then we got a call. We reached out to the Prostate Health Education Network, called me about, you have anything on prostate cancer? I got a play called Daddy's Boys. I can turn it into something on prostate cancer. And so all of our plays deal with trying to not just entertain you, but educate you on everything, trying to close this health disparities gap in communities of color. So Daddy's Boys, so each sponsor of the play had their own sponsors. So with Daddy's Boys, my direct link is with the Prostate Health Education Network out of Boston, but they're linked to Pfizer, Bayer, Janssen, AstraZeneca, Merck. And so all of them became sponsors for Daddy's Boys. And so it just took off. And then COVID-19 hit. And so I haven't done a play since 2019.
Okay,
and
this
so,
is a good place to slow down. I want to do a little housekeeping here. Let me play this. You're so awesome.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text to emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your scotches.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
All right. Thank everybody for staying with us while I did my little paying the bills kind of thing and promoting the app that Monica would be so upset if I didn't tell everybody and invite everybody to download that McNary Media app on iOS and Androids. All right. Commercial done. All right. So Garrett, so when COVID hit, you weren't doing your stage plays because it wasn't safe for people to come to the stage plays. So what did you do?
Pre-COVID, we were touring 4 stage plays around the country on a national level simultaneously. Mama's Girls, Daddy's Boys, Forget Me Not, and a new project that I had just started called Sisters at Heart. Sisters at Heart is a piece that is about a set of identical twins who are nurse practitioners who own a diabetes clinic that at 40 discovered they had congestive heart failure. We had just started doing that play. So we were doing 4 plays around the country, and then COVID hit, and we haven't been out since November 2019. The first month, Loretta, honestly, it was a vacation because, I work around the clock, I don't want to call myself a vampire, but, I don't know when I sleep. The first month was a vacation. The second month was rest. The third month was, okay, when are we going back out? And before you know it, it's like, okay, how am I going to eat? And so it was like, I got to find something to do. And so we had done Daddy's Boys at a mega church in Maryland, and they had recorded it. And so I told the sponsor, his name is Tom Farrington with the Project Health Education Network. I said, look, I don't know when we're going back out again. What if we streamed the DVD of Daddy's Boys? He said, let's do it. So it wasn't done professionally. It was just, a lot of those mega churches have multi-cameras, and they did an outstanding job with it. We streamed Daddy's Boys. We cut it up into 4 parts. So it was a 2-hour show, and we cut it into 4 parts. It was a major hit. And so that's when Tom said, hey, I'm going to go to Pfizer. Let's get some dollars to do some more of these. I said, hey, let's do it. And so then we started doing, and so what happened was I found a church that I was going to set my setup inside and just record different stories. But Loretta, I didn't like the way it looked.
Okay.
It looked like it just didn't look right on film. And so I said, Daddy, okay, what am I going to do? And so I had applied for a loan from SBA. Okay. And I was told no. I'd applied for PPL and all the money that you need to apply for during COVID-19, I didn't get. And I remember a conversation with my sister. I said, I can't do this. I said, I don't get it. Everyone seemed like getting dollars except me. And she said, my sister said, write to SBA and tell them to reconsider you and tell them why. I said, I ain't doing that. She said, I'm a month went by. And so I finally did an email because I was hot one day and I was mad. So I wrote this letter. Will you please reconsider me? This is what I'm doing. I'm out here busting my butt. I've got people that work for me that, they can't get paid. They're missing all this money. Da 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 da. They emailed me back and said, okay, we'll reconsider you. Send me this, send me that. I sent it to them. Within 3-4 days, they said, we're going to approve you for $85,000. So I said, okay. So I said, Daddy, what do I do with this? So I'm thinking, I can't do plays. What am I gonna do with this money? So Daddy said, and for those of you that joined us late, I call God Daddy. Daddy said, buy film equipment. And so I used every bit of that dollars, and I bought cameras. I bought everything I needed to buy because I remember I didn't like the way
you didn't like the church setup.
And so then I started, I said, I'm just gonna film my own stuff. And it was a young lady who was just graduated from UNCG. Her name is Nicola Knox. She was a freshman. She came to audition for me to be an actress. And when I found out she was a graduate in film school, I said, you in the wrong, look, I said, you can work with me, but I got a whole nother vision for you. Long story short, I started a film division. We hired a crew. We started doing our own. So I said, I had no, look, film is totally new to me. I had no idea what to get, what to buy. And Daddy said, just ask as if you were in Hollywood, what to get. And so I got all my cameras are HBO and Cinemax and whatever approved, learning that whole learning curve. And so, I buy all this equipment and I started doing my own. And that's how I ended up in film, because I couldn't do plays. And, when the money came through, okay, what am I going to do with it? And so we start, and man, now we are, now I'm all into it, trying to make sure that, what I want to do, the same thing I did in theater, I want to do in film. And so we've been doing these short, 15, 20-minute clips of we do a 15-minute episode complete with, information from the sponsor. And so I'm pleased to announce that our Daddy's Boy series, when we started doing it by, Tom with Project Hill Education Network made a bold statement. He said, we're going to have 1 million views by the end of the year. I'm saying to myself, 1 million views, really? So I said, okay, he believes it, And one of my actors, my creative director, would call me and say, gee, we got 70,000 views on episode. I said, 70,000, really? He said, yeah. And the next thing I said, and so I wasn't keeping up with the stats of it. I was just busy trying to put them together. And so last week, Tom said, he says, man, we had a summit this past weekend, and he told me, he said, we're at 600,000 views already. I said, what? And we haven't released episode 10, 11, and 12 yet. And so we're going to probably, by the end of the year, we're going to have 1 million views with the Daddy's episode. That's without a distribution deal. That's without a major platform. So that's God as the distributor. And so, man, I just like, look, I don't even argue with God anymore. If Daddy tells me to do it on day, look, I'm just going to do it.
Right, you can't, because his record speaks.
I shut up and look it up.
Absolutely, his record speaks for itself. So I like how, on your website, I see where you even did something on the opioid addiction, and
street meds. So now working with sponsors, how that works, quickly is the sponsor will tell me, I want, these are the issues I want you to cover in a story. So they may say with Daddy's Boys, we want to deal with clinical trials, we want to do this. So I'll just come up with a story based around all of that, incorporates that. And so doing that for the last 10 years, not that I felt tired, but I think there's more. And so I wanted to do a piece that no one is telling me what to do. But because I'm working for corporate America doing these, I have to do what the sponsor says. So in order to do that, that means I need to do a piece on my own and pay for it. And so the street meds piece is a piece that we're doing that deals with opioid addiction, that deals with everything that African Americans are going through. Because I believe you can put a problem in a Black community. The upper echelon will look at it one way, the middle class will look at it one way, and the poor will look at it one way. They're looking at it three different ways. And the answer is always sending Oprah and Obama to talk to that. Oprah and Obama can't fix everything. I think you have to meet, I call African Americans the unreached people group because they're so hard to reach. Yeah. But we learn differently. And so if you can do things in an entertaining and educational way and meet them where they are, they'll get the message. And so this whole street meds that I'm working on, I got an idea. I won't go too much into it, but I got an idea to help out HBCUs in terms of giving each college their own personalized sitcom. In other words, taking a personalized different world that's personalized for your university. And so we're working on that. So I just want to just use this medium. So now I'm being the first. if I was trying to be somebody else, I wouldn't be doing all of this.
Wow. So I agree with you being the first, and you are going to be the first with these ideas you have, because now you in tune. You know the voice of God. You know Daddy God. So, and now your creativity is on like overload. And so that's how it was when I got, the Lord just laid this network in my lap.
Right.
I wasn't really trying to have a Netflix or a Hulu or Amazon Prime. I wasn't. It was not on my radar. But I started thinking, Lord, what's going to be my legacy? I have all sons. They can't do, the Loretta McNary show, because once Loretta McNary is done, you can only show reruns. So I was like, Lord, what? I want to leave a legacy. And Daddy God was quiet. And I was like, well, do you want me to keep doing the Loretta McNary show? Daddy God was quiet. The next day on a Friday, like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month later, I get a phone call. And it's the people who have this platform that, HBO is on the same platform as me. All these major shows and other big global streaming platforms are there. And they said, well, we want to talk to you because we've been watching you. Your quality is amazing. We have some scholarship money because of COVID, the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. So they were able to scholarship me some money so I can own my own 7-channel global streaming network. Just like that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so I have 7 channels, Garrett. And this was in July. I'm in 12 countries already.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it
so
is.
That's why I can relate to you.
I want to say this to people who are watching in terms of, Loretta and I have not made it. It's just what we have made, though, is an effort to listen. And so I truly believe in the entertainment business. Their rule says it's who you are, who you're connected to. Just, I know there's a train going by. I'm in a high rise and the train going by, so hopefully it won't bother you. But it's who you're connected to, what they can do for you just to get a seat at the table. Now, you can play that game, or you can listen to what God has for you, and you can create your own table. And if you create your own table, other folks will come to you.
Yep.
But as long as you're trying to get to their table their way, there's always an opportunity. There's always a chance you're not going to get there. No. Because you don't look a certain way. You don't have this. You don't dress a certain way. You don't talk a certain way. You don't do things like they want. They're a limitation to getting to somebody else's table. But if you create your table, you decide who sits there.
And you get to own everything. You get to own your content. You get to create like you want to create. And so with my platform, we have content providers that are, wanting to be on there. So it won't just be me on all 7 channels, of course. It will be other content providers. We have travel and all this good stuff. So you can download MMN. It is so amazing. So now people don't even have to put in McNary Media Network. So many people have downloaded this app on their TVs and on their phones that if you just type in 3 letters, MMN, and you get it. Why don't you try it, Gary? Why don't you try typing in MMN? No, I'm just joking. Don't do it now. We got to talk. And I think we should connect and try see where we can. There's some synergies with what we do, because that's how you do it. We can't do it by ourselves. No man is an island. There's no way I can fill content for 7 channels on a 24-hour global streaming platform. So I like what you're doing. I like how you weren't afraid to be unique and to have your own way. And then what happened? People came for you. Yeah. They came for you, Garrett, with dollars.
Yeah. That, it sounds easy, but the hard part of that, I'm just going to be honest with you, and for those that are listening, it's hard to get to that point to be in a safe space to think that's the way, because your flesh think you need to do it one way, and you're always fighting against, not flesh and blood, principalities, against how God wants you to do it. And that's, I wish it was easy, I could say, because I'm still dealing with that now. It's like, things are being dropped on my plate, and I'm saying, God, there's no way I can't. I can't.
I know, it's too big. It's too big.
Something will drop on my plate, like, man, where's that money coming from? So, and that's my flesh. And it's like, I will ask God, this is what I want to do. And then something will fall on my plate like, man, I can't do that. How am I going to? Okay, that ain't God. That's my flesh thinking I'm supposed to be doing that. So that's natural. But,
yeah, it is.
I can't express enough. I don't talk with God enough. I'm gonna be honest, I'm being very transparent. I don't talk with him enough. I don't pray enough. I mean, I do it, but I'm starting to learn more and more every day. If you don't have a daily relationship with God, you are lost.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to call on him when we're in distress and we don't have anything. But learning to talk with him, have a conversation with him daily is the difference between getting there today and getting there tomorrow.
I agree with you. I so agree with you. So I want to just kind of slow it down a little more. I don't know how much time we had. We've been talking a while, Garrett, but because I don't want people. I've been on air 15 years, right? So it's not like I'm an overnight success or that I figured it out or that I have 17 zeros in my bank account, right? But what I do have is crazy faith. And if he guides me to it, I know he's going to provide. So it's not my job to find out, Loretta, where you can get the rest of this money for a global streaming platform. And then you have that enemy that's whispering in your voice to get you out. Loretta, who's going to watch it? Loretta, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do all that stuff? Who are you? But what drives me is I know it was a God thing. I could not have gotten this far without God. And I know that it's a legacy for my family. So that's my driving. That what drives me.
Yeah. Another thing is the thing that has helped me and those that are watching is it's 4 words that I say whenever I doubt or whenever I don't understand. It's I trust you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus. You know, where it's so something comes to me, I don't know how I'm gonna get it. And I know I'm supposed to be doing this. Okay, I trust you, Jesus. I keep saying it. And I may be talking myself into it. I just trust him. And before long, it never fails. I see where I'm supposed to go. Versus me trying to make it work and trying to figure out. I trust you. I'm always asking, what are you trying to show me?
Yeah.
You know, I used to ask Lord, why me? That was the name of my very first play. Lord, why me? And so I stopped saying, Lord, why me? And I started saying, Lord, what is it you want me to learn from this experience? Even when something bad happened, okay, what lesson am I supposed to get out of this? Not why I'm going through it, because the word says he maketh you lie down. It didn't say you lie down on your own. So sometimes I get knocked down and I'll say, okay, Lord, why did you make me lay down? Why is this happening?
And he's like, son, because you're stubborn. That's why. You're stubborn.
Yeah. Hard-headed.
Yeah, you're hard-headed. You want your way, and you want to do my job. And then the Lord tells me, Loretta, you trying to do your job and my job. I do not need help. I'm trying to get that message. God does not need our help at all. He is more than capable.
One part of, I don't care what level of success you are on, when you begin to get success doing one thing, no matter what level you're on, there's a thin line between thinking you know it and still trusting God to show you. Because you're doing it, it's working. You have a tendency to, okay, God, I got this one. No, you never have it. So I'm working on my first book called There's a Thin Line Between achieving your dream and running from your nightmare. Because I want to get to the point where I just want to speak to dreamers. Because dreamers, if you're a dreamer, you don't want to work a 9 to 5. Dreamers are a whole set of different people, and they're always told, get a real job. What are you doing? Because you're dreaming. But if you don't understand that you're a dreamer, you'll go through life frustrated that you never get to live your dream. Now, I want to teach people there's a thin line between, achieving your dream and running from your nightmare. And you have to know how to deal with dreamers, because dreamers will drive you crazy. They'll be 35, 40 years old, still living in your house with mama. Those are, there's a bad side of that, but other side,
it is.
But because I want to be a singer, I want to be an actor, I want to be a musician, I want to be such and such. But if you don't, in show business, if you don't understand the business, you won't be doing shows long.
Right. And I think what the problem is with that, Garrett, they don't necessarily want to be a singer, or they want what comes with it if you're successful. Because if you really want to sing, you will sing. If you really want to act, you will act for free. I did my show. Nobody said, Loretta, come do a show. We're going to sponsor you. No network was behind me. But yet I would be on the same red carpets as all these national TV shows and talk show hosts. I mean, international people. And there's me.
Mhm.
And I didn't have funding for that, but I knew God said go, and he provided. And I was there hanging out with the rest of them like I had $1 billion in the bank. So
Yeah.
I like how you said that dream is a fine line to being dreaming and then being, in denial.
Because I mean, for many years, everyone would get paid except me. For many years, everyone would get paid, and I was losing money. But I didn't care because I just wanted to do what I was doing. But then those are close to you will say, dude, you better get a job. I mean, what are you doing? And so I had to take a look into the mirror and say, okay, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So are you doing this for entertainment purposes only, or are you doing this for a purpose? Because the underlying fact of all human frailty is one's inability to recognize purpose.
Ooh.
Once I found out what my purpose was with these plays, I started looking at things totally different. And then that's when the money started to come in to fund these projects, because I wasn't doing it for entertainment purposes only. So it could be your time and not your turn, or it could be your turn and not your time.
Ooh. That was profound. But I have a question from a guest.
Okay, sure.
That was deep. We're going to revisit that. So Janice is saying, she's here with me in Memphis. Memphis is one of the most unhealthy cities in the country, yet I've never seen one of your plays. How do you market to our community to get us in the theater to see your plays and your film?
Okay, so I'm going to write Memphis down. Normally what happens with, what's the name, Janice?
Yes.
Janice, the sponsor decides what cities we go to, because cities are important to them in terms of, their disease or whatever. But I will definitely, the fact that you ask about Memphis, I'm going to find out what in Memphis from a health standpoint that's a disparity, and I'm going to, as soon as this country opens up, I'm going to do my best to get to Memphis.
And since I'm here, I'm doing my best to help you get to Memphis.
And we can, Janice, what I can do hypothetically, if you're with a church or an organization and you would like to stream one of my projects, for a girls' club or a faith-based organization, whatever, I'll give you my contact information, and I can make that possible right away. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that, Janice. I hope that answers your question. And that was a great question. So tell me what's next. I know you're doing film, and now you have all your equipment. You can do film, you can do TV. Are we going to see you on Netflix, or are you going to be on one of the major networks? So tell us what's next.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I used to have a dream of being on Broadway. That was me. And God had something else for me. I could imagine one day, I probably would think I'd want to be on Netflix and Hulu, but I don't know what God has for me. But I want to start my own network in terms of Gdavis TV, to put it on platforms so that, people can watch all of everything that we create. Of course, I have an agent, and we are trying to work deals with, with everyone that's interested in what we're doing. So, but I don't, we're trying. But if we never get there, I'm still going to make our make our products available on platforms that people can see. But what's next? I'm working on this HBCU project. I have a hopefully in 2022, I'm going to do my first feature film. There has always been, I can't go too much into it, but from the standpoint, you've seen the Temptations, you've seen Aretha Franklin, you've seen the Clark sisters, but there's never been a film on this particular genre of music that I think is the root of it all. And so that's all I can say with it right now, but I want to do that. And so my first feature film, everything that I do is for a purpose, is never for entertainment purposes. Everything that I do is for education and a purpose. It's never just to entertain you, although I think we do a great job of entertaining you. If you see a Gdavis production, in addition to being entertained, you're going to learn something. So I think, this genre of music that we call quartet gospel, I want to do it on a whole nother level in a film. You're on mute. You're muted.
I'm trying not to interrupt you while you're talking, and I forget. I get so excited. Okay, what I was saying is, I love quartet music. My uncle has a quartet band and been doing, a quartet, and he's been doing this for years. It's a gospel quartet. So I just want to. I'm so interested and excited about what's next for you in your own lane. And I know it's not to be the next Tyler, the next anybody. It's your highest level of the next Garret Davis. That's the beauty of it.
Let me tell you where that came from. And I recommend if you are listening or watching and you're trying to be your own person, there's one book this book changed my life. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy. Once I read that book, the light bulb went off about what I should be doing.
Yes.
So please, very quickly, it used to be in America, the wife stayed at home and drove a station wagon, okay, and the husband worked. Chrysler came out with a minivan, and that changed the world. Came soccer moms and all of this. When Tiger Woods was at the height of his career, everyone wanted to play golf, but the hand-eye coordination was hard. So Callaway came out with a club called the Big Bertha, which made it easier to hit. Southwest Airlines is the only airline. You got 747, all these different type planes. Southwest Airlines was the only one that had no waiting. No, you had to pay for your bags and your luggage. No first class. They created Blue Water. So everyone's fighting, trying to get the same dollars. You got plays, you got bands, you got background singers, you got sets. I'm doing health. My plays are free. I don't have a band. And so I'm in Blue Water. So the last analogy, and listen to this, everyone loves a circus. Barnum and Bailey's circus was huge. Circus Soleil came out, did away with the animals, did away with the clowns, and did away with the tent. The only thing dealing with Circus Soleil is the word circus. And a Circus Soleil ticket is $125 a ticket. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey has gone out of business. If you create your own lane and you're in water by yourself, you will sail a long time without stress.
Absolutely. And that's a great book. And now they even have, because I have the book, I actually met the authors here at an event in Memphis. And so now you can take one of their courses online to help you with that blue ocean, red ocean. And you guys got to read this book. It will blow. It's not an easy read. You got to spend some time and get in your head and in your heart.
To get something you want, you've heard it. To get something that you want, you got to do something you've never done. How can you be a master of your field when you don't even understand how your field works?
Ooh, that's a whole nother show, Garrett. Will you promise to come back?
Promise.
This was not only entertaining and informative, but you challenged me. I want to, even though I just got this network, I still know there's other stuff I want to do. And once I started doing the network, it's okay, God, if you give me a network, I'll do that. Now I want to own my own subdivision, right? I want a middle class subdivision for anybody that wants to be there. But we're going to have these certain ways we're going to do everything and how we're going to live. I want a retail strip for entrepreneurs. I don't want it to be retail, though. I want it to look like that, but it'll be individual offices. I want to do plays and movies and films. Don't let somebody tell you can't do all that. Yes, you can. That's usually somebody who hasn't done anything.
Anyone who is against you or anyone who doesn't understand you, you never take that as don't take it as a personal attack. If you're on a certain level, they can't understand you. How can you be compared to something that's never happened? So in other words, if someone says you're going to do all of that, since they can't compare it to anything, oh man, that'll never work. Now, as soon as someone does it, you ever thought about doing this mall and this strip and these movies? Because you've never done it, don't expect anyone to understand it because they have nothing to compare it to. The mind wants to quickly compare it to something. Yeah. And so no matter how good you are, they're going to compare you to Oprah because that's just how the mind works. Like Kobe is good. Kobe's the next Michael Jordan. No, Kobe was Kobe.
I know. They'll get to Loretta, you look like her. You sound like her. I'm like, but I'm not her. Seriously. I've had people follow me around in the store trying to see, is it her? Is it her? I'm like, come on. Come on. But I have my way of doing things because my God is so awesome that he doesn't have to duplicate what he did for Oprah, for Loretta McNary. And he's not going to duplicate what he's doing for me for the other person that has the same goals and desires as I have. Garrett, I just want to say you have truly, truly inspired me.
Thanks.
And when you said you didn't give up and you wanted to quit, and look what would have happened. Look what we would have missed.
There are days, and I don't want people to think that, I've got an easy road now, because there are days now that I still get frustrated because it's not that I just want more. It's all about legacy now. It's all about, while I got this energy, while I can just, work day and night, if I can't, my biggest fear now is when I die, what I create dies with me. And if it dies with me, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Mm-mm. And so that's how I think if we change our mindset and start thinking, because when God gives you something, it's supposed to be for a generation of people. But if you're doing something that's just going to help you and a few others, that ain't God.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So you got to be scared though, because God talks about there's so many times in the Bible. He keeps telling us, have I? And then he's like, he got upset with us. Have I not told you? Do not fear. Don't be discouraged. I will be with you to the ends of time. What better promise? What else do we need? So I'm going for it. Will I be successful? And who defines success for me? I do. But if I can help somebody along the way, then I think I know I'm successful. If I can change somebody's life or our whole family's generation,
the Clark
in some kind of way,
my living is in vain. Go ahead, girl.
Exactly.
Sing this song.
Look, I'm trying to let you go. Don't start that. Because I am a Jesus girl through and through. And when I look back over my life,
yeah.
I mean, seriously. Yeah. I'm not supposed to be here. If you look in a book and you look at my life, what it has been on paper prior to getting here, it's unreal. You won't believe it. I wouldn't believe it if it wasn't me.
I got to say this. I know we push for time. I want all of my viewers that's watching us. There's a young lady that I'm working, producer name is Tonier Kane, Tonier Kane. And shortly, she's been to jail, 60-some convictions. She's been raped multiple times. She was a crack addict for 19 years, living on the streets of Baltimore. And today, fast forward, she travels the world. She's a trauma expert. Those same jails that she was in, she's now teaching them how to deal with trauma. And so if God can take someone like her and what she was going through and turn them around to what she's doing now, guys, look her up, Tonier Kane. Oh my God. I mean, she's an inspiration to me from the standpoint of she is not what she was, and she does not look like what she's been through. But please look her up, Tonier Kane. Her story is amazing. We're supposed to be doing that was one of the stories we was going to do before the COVID hit. It's going to be Through the Fire. But if you need inspiration and you think you're going through what God has done for her, man, oh my God.
Before, because you had the train, I got the airplane.
Oh,
I know. I'm like, okay, airplane, you're not gonna stop this show. This train is gonna keep moving. So before we get on another tangent and we share God's goodness with this world, I want them to go to your website.
Mm-hmm. So they can go to gdavisproductions.net. That's the main site for all of our productions. Our nonprofit is the Forget Me Not Project, and that's fmnproject.org, fmnproject.org. And you can also go to gdavisfilms.com. We're working on trying to launch Gdavis TV, where that would be an app and a place that you can go and see all of our projects. And we've created a piece called Living With. I think everyone's living with something. It's like a 30-minute documentary, whether you're living with Alzheimer, living with kidney failure. Everyone's living with something. And so, but we're just trying to use our medium, the gifts that God has given us, to educate and entertain our people. So thank you for this time, Loretta. It means a lot. I appreciate you, inviting us. Yeah.
Of course, you got to come back, and I appreciate you too. We put that on screen. I just want to say thank you. Anything I can do to help you, count me in, count my audience in. If we need to buy some tickets or send something, let us know how we can help.
Everything is free, so they ain't buying nothing.
That's right. That's so brilliant.
So we need to figure out a way to work together so we can just increase what we have. But yeah, as the country opens back up, we start touring again. I'm gonna make sure you know where we're going to be in all of this. So I do know that my new play production, that if the world continues to open up, it's going to be called Living With. And it's the spinoff of Mama's Girls, and it's featuring two of the girls from Mama's Girls. It's featuring Shirley Jones from the legendary Jones Girls. It's also featuring Scott Sable from American Idol. Now, I know someone's going to say, well, why you got entertainers in your play? These are relationships. These are relationships. I mean, now it went from having relationships that you pay for to now it's like having relationships that are truly behind what we're doing. Shirley is definitely into women's mental health. And so everyone that's in our production is in it for a reason and a cause and a purpose. And so I'm sure we're going to be in that. I know Atlanta area for the AKA National Convention and for Easter, but I'm sure we're going to get to Memphis. But, as the world opens up, we'll start letting you know where we're going to be so you can kind of.
Right. And I can fly into any city to do my walk-on role. Okay. I can.
Okay, now I want everyone to hear this. I'm going to put you in something. So when I tell you, don't be telling me, nah, I was just joking. I don't have time. I can't do it this weekend.
I don't joke because I usually, whatever I ask with a pure heart, God gives it to me. So you're right. I will be there. I'll have on my heels. I'll do my little jacquet walk, on that 227, and I'll be good. And I'll have it. And you just give me $1 so I can be a paid actress and I can get in the Actors Guild. That's all I want.
All right, you got it.
But Garrett, it's been a pleasure like none before you, because I just feel like we are on the same path at the same time, and we do what we do and we give God the glory. We edify people by sharing our story, and it gives us immense joy. So you can't ask for more than that.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Till next time, everybody, think positive, dream big dreams, help someone along the way, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye, everybody.